Hi, I'm Malcolm.
Hello, everybody. My name is Harris Pick.
Yeah, my name is Miles. I go as Miles from home.
I'm Justine Tyrell, R&B artist.
And you're listening to Background Noise, the coolest Canadian music podcast.
Hey there, thanks so much for tuning in to Background Noise today. I'm your host, Tora, and I'm always stoked for the episodes, but I'm really stoked for today's episode because we're going to be chatting with this guy from Ottawa, Ontario, calls himself Graven. His real name is Maddie, but we'll get into that a little bit. But the music is very chill, very vibey, very nature orientated. I'm going to say there's a lot of themes, and I feel like nature is one of them. So we will, of course, get into that, but I always like to get the show started. I'll just let you, Maddie, tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey with music, and kind of your shtick.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me, by the way, Tora. This is really cool. My journey, I guess, with music started probably, an early age, like 6 or 7. I started piano lessons, but they didn't really stick. Wasn't a fan. And then later, around 15, 16, I started picking up acoustic guitar, and different friends of mine at this camp that I worked at could all play, and I couldn't. So I just started plugging away on my own, and eventually sliding one finger around turned into chords. And then I probably wrote my first song in somewhere in there, like around 17 or something. And yeah, it just kind of kept going. And it's one of those things now where I think about all the time, like 30 plus years of writing songs, I guess, is really just, it's all just fuel for the creative steam engine. And it just kind of keeps you going and keeps you moving. I don't think I ever, was really like writing songs to be like, this is the one, this is the hit or whatever. It was just always experimenting, throwing mud at the wall and seeing what sticks. And yeah, I played in a lot of people's bands for a long time as a bassist or like a backup vocalist, or I would, sing and frontman the odd song, but I didn't always love doing that. So shifting to Graven to do my own thing was just something that just sort of happened. And a few people told me, like, you should do something where it's your own songs, your own vision, your own thing. And then, yeah, here I am, like almost 50, still doing it somehow and staying alive. And yeah, it's pretty cool. There's ups and downs and peaks and valleys, but it's all part of the process and it's all pretty fun.
Right on. I love that. And you do actually have quite the repertoire of tunes, and we'll get into some of those older tunes a little bit later in the episode. But you dropped a new album in February. By the time this episode comes out, it'll already be out, so you can listen to all the tunes at your own free will. But I do want to talk a little bit about that new album, Geographics. Why don't you tell me a bit about it?
Yeah, Geographics was really an idea that I had for a while. I thought, it'd be fun to have a bunch of songs. Like, I tend to write sometimes about nature, sometimes about places that I've visited. Like, I like maps and geography and thinking about different towns and cities that I've been to. And that was sort of the vibe of Geographics. But then it also became like this 3-pronged thing where it was like, oh, okay, there is a bit of geography, like there's a travel vibe to the songs. Definitely they take you certain places, but then there's also a bit of like a map of my mind. There's some memories, there's some like neuroses, anxiety stuff that's all in there too. And it's also a bit of a map of like the world today. There's a few political songs that I'd usually never get political in my writing, or in music. I try to stay far away from that. But, just with everything going on these days, it just seeped in, It's like that line in Ice-T's rap song, Original Gangster. He's like, I try to write about fun and the good times, but the pen yanks away and explodes and destroys the rhyme. He's just had a hard life. And he's talking, and it's not like I've had a hard life, but the world at large is going through a hard life right now. So some of those songs just and lyrics just came out in certain songs. And so there's a bit of all those three parts in Geographics, I would say.
Right on. And I did notice that as well, just looking through your like discography as well too. You did have a lot of songs that were places, and I have a couple of them down here that we will talk about, but let's start with Pacific Northwest. Why don't you tell me about that place and song?
For sure. So that song is kind of a character song. Like it's like following someone who I think at times in life, like I've had, people sort of disappear and you're like, whatever happened to, that guy, that girl, that person, whatever. And they just kind of fell off the map. Like they moved away or they cut ties. And so it's sort of that. It's like the idea of following someone and you're not really sure if there's like romance involved, but it's like someone just kind of out looking for someone else. And he, I think that like the narrator of the song has heard a rumor that that person is out in this, in a unspecific Northwest, or like, so he's like, is that specific Northwest you're talking about, the Pacific Northwest? And I did go there to Washington State a couple of years ago. And I mean, that's also BC is part of that too, but Washington State was like beautiful, I mean, massive trees, these little things called lavender huts everywhere where you can drive up and get coffee and they're like covered with actual lavender because it grows a ton, I guess, in Washington State and along that region, and camped out in like May with an ex, and it was like snow on the ground. Like it was like May 15th, and I think it snowed, and we were camping out, and it's just like, this is insane. But the beauty of it was just overwhelming, and the mountains out there, like Mount Baker, and all around Seattle. Like I think that part of the world is pretty beautiful. So it's kind of wanted to like set the scene for the song, and yeah, that was the vibe.
I love that. We're going to spin that song right away here. Pacific Northwest off of Graven's brand new album, Geographics. And then when we come back, we'll talk about a couple more songs off of that album.
Specified which side of the map I would find you on. All my letters are returned to sender, and my love lenders are all overdrawn. Maybe that bender at the airport bar left the scar that will never be gone. But watch out now, 'cause I'm riding the clouds. Pacific Northwest, Great Pacific Northwest. Do I need a protractor and compass to make a scientific guess and locate your love? Locate your love. Locate your love. Pulled you to Seattle, so I heard through the rumor pipeline. Went there once, and knowing you for that month made me smile at the peace you might find. Somehow I think your her Canadian heart would be at home by those Cascadian pines. But watch out now, 'cause I'm right in the clouds. Pacific Northwest. Do I need a protractor and compass to make a Pacific Northwest. Do I need a protractor and compass to make a scientific guess and locate your love?
We are back. Thank you so much for tuning into Background Noise today. My name is Tora, and we are chatting with Graven, this really like chill, kind of like, I don't know, we'll call it folk rock kind of tunes. Yeah. Writes a lot about nature and places, and it's just a really cool vibe. But you just dropped a new album not that long ago called Geographics. We just listened to the song Pacific Northwest, but a couple of the other songs I want to chat about off that album as well. One of them was Cigarette. Why don't you tell me about that one?
Yeah. So Cigarette is really like that one. It's based on, it's sort of fictional as well. Like there are some folks and friends that I have from Winnipeg, and there's a bar there called Times Changed. And I've never played it, but I've only ever been into it, I think once or twice to go check out other bands like while I was touring or just like as a stop in with my friend Ali McCormick. We were touring across Canada and another guy named JD Edwards. And we were in there one night just seeing the local vibe. And it's such a cool spot. It's a legendary music space in Winnipeg. So I was like just thinking about, you know, being there and there was someone smoking under an exit, like the red exit light, that one of the nights that I was there. So I think that image just kind of stuck in my mind. And then it just sort of constructed this story about, yeah, someone being stuck in the prairies and everyone moves away and they're still there and like wondering, you know, what they're doing. And but not that the prairies is a place to be stuck. It's a beautiful area, and I have friends out there who love Winnipeg, and it's a beautiful spot. But yeah, it's just that kind of feel to that song, and I wanted there to be a bit of like a romance element. So that's another one it's kind of funny. The first two ones you picked out are kind of like character-ish songs. They're not, but they're still based from like personal experiences that I've seen and touched and stuff, so that makes it more fun.
Right on. Another one off that album as well too was Teenage Memory Machine. Why don't you tell me a bit about that song?
So that song is completely 100% personal. It's about a crush that I had when I was 16, and her name is Trish, and we're still in touch, still friends, and not like the crush was never returned, but it's cool how like I've stayed friends with that person over a long time, and it's sort of like different chapters of my life and basically till now that, you know, I've bumped into her or we've seen. I actually like met her when I was 16, and then we actually like toured a bit together. Like she's a musician as well, when we were both like early 30s, and we went across like a chunk of Canada together, like from BC to into Saskatoon, I think, and then I think we went into Alberta as well. But yeah, it's just kind of that song. I really wanted to like bring people to a specific memory of mine, and that whole idea of like sometimes, you know, you can revisit those memories and it really takes you to a place. It's like this film projector that's just like running, you know, in your mind, showing you uh, reruns of stuff that you've already lived. And yeah, that song, I really happy with how it came out, and it is very personal and there's like super specific references, and all that stuff happened to me. I did really dry heave in a field in outside of Kapuskasing when I went to Trisha's grad party, and I was like 19. And yeah, it was really just about that, like real experiences that were like I wanted to tell the story of and like encapsulate.
That's so sweet and kind of hilarious. And I have to know, does Trish know this song is kind of about
It does.
her.
So I was really like, oh, this is really specific. It doesn't mention her name, but people who are in our friend group or whatever from the camp that I went to will definitely know who I was talking about. There's references to like a song she wrote about her pink raincoat that she played in the dining hall way back when and just like blew up. So I asked her about it like before, and I had like a rough acoustic version that I sent to her. And she was just like, oh my gosh. She's like, I'm not, and she's married, has kids and everything, and we just keep in touch. And she's like, I'm not an emotional person, but this like song pulled a few tears out of my eyes. And so that was pretty sweet. And she was like, absolutely, you have to record it. And so, yeah, it's really cool. She definitely knows that it's coming out.
Right on. I love that so much. We're going to spin both those songs right away here, Cigarette and Teenage Memory Machine, off your brand new album, Geographics. And then when we come back, it's time for one of my favorite parts of the show, where you actually sent me a bunch of other artists that you love as well. So we're going to spin those and talk about some of those tunes when we come back.
Show's over when I see your cigarette and the glow of the exit light so red. By the time's changed bar, I know just who you are. The one who's been passed by, your siblings moved and married, but you still live in the prairies and spend all your time in dive bars. And your jet black curls carry the weight of the Western world, and your dark eyes have seen judgment repeatedly paralyzed, but you can't be categorized. Show's over when I see your cigarette and the glow of the exit light so red. The one by the bar, I know just who you are. Jet black curls carry the weight of the Western world, and your dark eyes have seen judgment repeatedly paralyzed, but you can't be categorized. The show's over when I see your cigarette and the glow of the exit light so red. You're the one by the bar, I know just who you are. '16 was the first time the light in my love room turned on. Bunch of kids in the woods trying to find some glowing garden sun. Wanted to be cool, wanted to be seen by you. The laugh was a drug for everyone. Sang a song in the dining hall about your pink raincoat and wowed the crowd. So I drove the campus casing at 19 to see you for your grad to get loud. Got way too drunk, got way too high, dry heaved in a field, questioned if anything was real. Just to feel. Teenage memory machine, projecting films on a dusty screen in the attic of my mind, in a cabin long left behind. Got 1 ounce of self-esteem, nervous king and a super cool queen who didn't need to fit into anyone's arithmetic. Beautifully flawed by design. You're 30-something, you lived in Whistler. We toured across the western lands, played some music in bars, made some scars, made some friends, and shook some hands. And I was real sad, I think you could see it. You told me whatever I wanted to be, I could still be it. This magical story still sort of has a magical end. Those certain stars never align. You're a planet of a friend. Romance is fickle, the ego is fleeting, but a true friend can inspire a song worth repeating. Teenage memory machine, projecting films on a dusty screen in the attic of my mind, in a cabin long left behind. Now 1 ounce of self-esteem, nervous king and a super cool queen who didn't need to fit into anyone's arithmetic. Teenage memory machines, projecting films on a dusty screen in the attic of my mind, in a cabin long left behind. 1 ounce of self-esteem, nervous king and a super cool queen who didn't need to fit into anyone's arithmetic. Beautifully flawed by design. Teenage memory machine. Teenage memory machine. Teenage memory machine.
We are back. Thank you so much for tuning in to Background Noise. Today, my name is Tora, and we're chatting with Graven. We just listened to a couple songs off of his brand new album, Geographics. But now it's time for one of our favorite parts of the show, where we also get to shout out some other amazing local artists that you brought to me. And one of them I am super excited about. And I even let you know when you sent me this. We're going to play a tune from Mallory Chipmen, who we've had on the show before, I think last season. Now we've had so many seasons. They've all blurred together. But you want to play Soft Shoe by Mallory Chipmen. I absolutely love her. I love this tune. So why don't you tell me a little bit about Mallory?
Yeah, Mallory's so cool. We just met randomly, I think, through Instagram, and I sort of saw what she was doing online, and I liked it. I saw that I think she had a release coming out about 2 years ago. It was even maybe earlier. It was like into COVID, like territory, like maybe the end of it, and the end of the lockdowns, I should say. But yeah, so I just liked the songs. I liked that the artwork of her songs really took people to it. And then we stayed in touch, just kind of chatting. And she was like, "Hey, I'm coming to Ottawa. Do you want to be part of this show at this place?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. No, that'd be so fun to play with you guys." And so we did one little show together in Ottawa. She was with a different her country outfit. What are they called? The God Damsels.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and they were great. Sounded so good. And then we that show was fun. We had a good time. It was like, a Wednesday or some night. It wasn't like uh massively attended, but we all had fun. And then it kept in touch. And then Mallory was like, well, I'm gonna go to BC this summer. And I was like, you know what? I've been thinking about going out there too. Maybe we could connect on a few dates. And there was this other trio named Duke and Goldie who wanted to connect as well too. So we did this like couple shows with the three of us, and they played a whole bunch together, the two of them. I just went really to go play like three shows and then go see some friends. So yeah, we kept in touch, and that song that I picked, Soft Shoe, every time she played it, like on a night where we were doing a show together, it just like transported me. It's something about the music, the way she picked it, like the vibe of those chords, and there's like so much space. It's sort of like airy, and it's not really pushing, and it just got this beautiful like the chorus is like this da 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 soft shoe under the moonlight and it's really like just it's this real story about her grandma and stuff, and it's a beautiful song. So yeah, I love it and love Mallory. She's awesome.
Totally, totally is. So I'm stoked to play that one. And another one you sent me as well was Edge of the Edge by Ace of Wands. Why don't you tell me about those guys?
Yeah. So Ace of Wands, a great Toronto band. I'm going to do a few shows with them in March. And Lee Rose is the head, I think, writer and like front person of that band. And just awesome. Like, so rock and roll. I don't know. It has this vibe of like almost like Heart, like the early days of Heart a little bit. And then, but it's wicked, and it's like a three-piece. Like she plays electric guitar. I can't remember her friend's name who plays bass. She's also great. And then the drummer is this guy named Jody, and they're all just dynamite humans. And it's not even like really a genre that I listen to much, but I did a Tragically Hip benefit show with Lee, and Jody was playing drums for the whole thing, and just like got along. And when they put out that song Edge of the Edge, I was like, oh, this is crushes, and it really encapsulates, I think, the vibe of the world today. And yeah, it's just a great and important song, I think.
Absolutely. This song does crush. I can say that. I'm stoked to spin it in a couple minutes here. And finally, the last one you sent me as well was Georgia Moon by Julian Taylor.
Yeah. Yeah, Julian Taylor is awesome. Someone I've been following along with a while. Played at a festival with him called Four Winds a few years ago up in like northern Ontario, like north of Toronto. And uh Durham, that's where it is. Anyways, yeah, Julian is so great, so talented. And I was like the MC. I played on the first night, then I got sick at this festival. I got some kind of food poisoning. It was horrible, horrible. And I kind of recovered. And then the MC they had booked for the weekend, my friends were running this festival, and they were like, can you MC today? And I was like, I guess, yeah, sure, why not? So I MC'd on the Sunday, and then I just remember being side stage and hearing him play like while I was up there is just mind blowing. Like his voice, his ability, and like he really takes people somewhere when he plays. It's like a real magical thing. And he keeps pumping out songs, pumping out songs. He's a real workhorse. And I just yeah, I think Julian is incredible.
Love that. We are going to spin those three songs here. We got Soft Shoe from Mallory Chipmen, Edge of the Edge, Ace of Wands, and then Georgia Moon from Julian Taylor. And then when we come back, we're going to bring it back to you a little bit and chat about some of your older tunes.
I always liked when you said, oh, sugar. kitchen floors. But these days you just see right through me, not even sure what you're looking for. Fingertips stained red with crab apples, black and white photographs they'll never tell, a half-empty scrapbook of our travels, days I thought that you'd remember well, like when we did the soft shoe under the moon, left until her bellies ache, till her faces turned blue. You said, my little girl, there's nothing in this world that you can't do. And when I look back, it's an old-time movie, and I was like Shirley dancing on kitchen floors. But these days you just see right through me, not even sure what you're looking for. These blue eyes of mine haven't seen me before, maybe in a past life. And I'll never forget the day when your eyes welled up and you said my name. I just didn't know it then that it would never leave your lips again. I never thought that I'd be a stranger, but what did I know? A life full of memories is bound to age ya, and now they've got no place to go. But I remember doing soft shoe under the moon. You said, my little girl, there's not a thing in this whole world. And when I look back, it's an old-time movie. But these days you just see right through me. You're the only one that I want. The force, the breath, my love. The future is free like the city, knowing the true in the heart. Remember when the skies and the water, when the stars and the darkness were part, and the rhythm of our footsteps, the beauty, they spiraled, they trembled, we're lost. Keep me on the ground in your arms when I feel myself drifting.
Jesse wasn't left a line on the interstate, 14 miles from Jeffersonville. He drove a 65 Chevy Impala, headed north on the I-95. Detective Stephen Chief of Wichita began to track him down, Atlantic side. And are you wild like me? No, I'm still running free. Don't worry about what you gotta see. Don't worry about what you gotta be. You can't listen to the radio underneath that Georgia moon. La 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 la. Jesse also came from Memphis, Tennessee. He hustled every man from county to city. Got busted down in Wichita and broke loose in '83. Never had much of a family. He hated women, loved his wild turkey. Never had a place to call his own. Never a house or even a home. And are you wild like me? No, I'm still running free. Don't worry about what you gotta see. Don't worry about what you gotta be. You can't listen to the radio underneath that Georgia moon. La 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 Detective Stevens was a clever man, guided by the devil's right hand. You see, they found a starting line on the interstate, 14 miles from Jeffersonville. And oh Lord, he caught up with Jesse just outside of NYC. Shot him dead in an alleyway. So long, old Jesse. And are you wild like me? No, I'm still running free. Don't worry about what you gotta see. Don't worry about what you gotta be. You can't listen to the radio underneath that Georgia moon. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
We are back. Thank you so much for tuning in to Background Noise today. We're chatting with Graven, and we just listened to a handful of songs from some other amazing Canadian artists that he sent us as well. Some Mallory Chipmen, who was on the show, I think, last season, Asa Wands, and Julian Taylor. But I want to bring it back to you a little bit. And we've had a running theme a little bit, talking a lot about places. And so there were two songs, I guess technically three, but we'll save one for the very end. Two songs that are definitely places. And I had to really dig for this one. So if you've listened to the show before, you know I love to try to find the oldest tune from you that I can. So I did dig up your 1999 self-titled album. Found that one on Bandcamp. And I want to talk about No Thank You, Toronto. So why don't you tell me a bit about that song?
Wow, that's yeah. I was actually thinking about that song not too long ago, like maybe a month ago or something, and I was like, boy, I think I wrote that as an Ottawa kid and was really like, Toronto people think they're so cool. You know, in '99 I was like 23. And I didn't know anything. Like, I didn't know anything about the world. That now, someone who's almost 50, like, I've been to Toronto so many times to play shows. I love Toronto. It's one of my favorite cities in the world. So it's funny how your perspective changes over time. And the music there is incredible. So I think at the time I was really like, Toronto people think they're so cool. It's such a big city, blah, blah, blah. And it was like kind of like a diss track. It was me like being like, Toronto's not that cool. And I was like, no, thank you. It's too busy. That's what everyone says, right? That's the rep that Toronto gets. It's like, it's so crazy. You go there and it's too busy and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it is, but it's also beautiful and awesome. And there's so much culture. There's so much art and music happening all the time. So many great people, especially downtown. Like, I love Spadina and Queen, that whole area, and just like being around there. It's like a cosmic womb of creativity. So yeah, I think that's what it was. It was me being too cool for Toronto in my days of growing up in Ottawa as an Ottawa boy, and probably feeling like, Leafs fans were always like, Ottawa Senators are like the younger brother of the Maple Leafs. And, I don't follow hockey as much anymore. I used to be a huge Sens fan, still support them, but I can't get super involved in sports because it ruins my mood and my headspace so much. Because if I love a team and get really involved, when they win is like so much dopamine and awesomeness, and then like when they lose I get seriously depressed. So it's good to like watch from afar. I can appreciate it. So I think, yeah, all of those things, being a kind of smug 23-year-old, like kind of like Toronto stinks, whatever. No, I don't think that way at all, but yeah.
That's too funny because I actually grew up outside of Toronto, about an hour east, for a really long time, and I did
Like
frequent Toronto.
Oshawa area or
Coburg.
Coburg? Oh my God. I
Yeah.
lived in Coburg for 4 years.
Oh my God, no way. See, I love that town. That is one of the cutest towns ever. I love all the history in that town. And it was always funny because we did frequent Toronto. My dad was born and raised there. And so when I heard that, I'm still a smug little 29-year-old. I'm like, no, thank you, Toronto. It's too busy for me. But I mean, honestly, I feel the same way about Edmonton as well, too. That's why I live technically outside of, because I only like to go sometimes when there's like a really cool show and it's like just to white out because I love the arts and culture, but then immediately I have to leave because I'm like, this is overstimulating.
I
And
totally
with
agree. And it's funny how even people I know around here who live in the Ottawa Valley, and it's like Ottawa's not a huge city. I think overall, like with the extended areas, it's 1 million people, but it's not that big. And downtown is where a lot of the music venues are. And I hear that all the time now and more from people. They're like, oh, I don't go into the city if I can help it. And I'm like, it's not that big. Come on. It's not that big. It's not like Montreal or Toronto. It's a totally different. It's very easy to navigate. But so I hear what you're saying. People say that all the time. They're like, I try not to go in the city if I can. Like, people say that about Charlottetown in PEI, okay? And it's like a tiny city, and it's like, it's crazy here. And I'm like, what are you talking about? But yeah.
That's too funny. And speaking of the cities and stuff like that, there was another song I dug up as well from your 2017 album, Jaybird. This one was called Edmontonize, and the song was super funny. I loved it, and being a person from just outside of Edmonton that frequents it, I got a lot of the references, and I was like, hey, I know that street. So why don't you tell me a bit about Edmontonize?
Oh yeah, that's cool. That's a song that I still play live with the band sometimes in the band setting because it's really fun. And the ending, it's very like performative, like fun rock and roll, and there's a story to it. But yeah, I went on tour with my friend Allie, and we were Allie McCormick. We were on our way to BC, and we played a show in Edmonton. Can't remember the name of the venue. Starlight, or I don't
Oh,
know if it
Starlight
was.
Room.
I don't. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. It was lovely, and we had a good time. But we she ended up connecting with an old friend. She lived in Edmonton for a while. And her friend was like, do you want to go to karaoke? And her friend lived in a trailer park, which is neither here nor there, but that's where we were staying that night. And her friend was like, there's a karaoke bar right near the trailer park, and we should go. And I was not drinking that night. I was like, I'm going to take this night off to be the voice of reason. And Allie was like, I need to have fun and go out. So she went out. Just ended up being like one of those weird vibe nights. Like there was tons of, I didn't go to the karaoke bar. I stayed at the trailer park. Allie and her friend went. I can't remember her friend's name. And yeah, I don't want to tell all the details of the story, but there was like, they went to this karaoke bar. There was tons of expats. There was like a fight that almost happened with Allie, I guess. I wasn't there. And then we came home, and Allie came home. I was asleep by like 11. Her and her friend came home at like 3 a.m. with new people. So you understand what I'm saying. And then it was just sort of some loud noises. I'm being really like non-specific, happening in the place where we were staying in the trailer park. Some human bodies making loud noises. And I woke up at like 5, and I was like, Allie, let's get out of here. We got to go. And she was like sleeping on the floor. I was like sleeping on a couch, and we left. And yes, it was one of those stories where I'll always remember Edmonton for like an insane night of just like, what is going on? What's happening now? What's happening now that just happened before? It just like, yeah, weird times.
Sounds like Edmonton, and that's why I try to avoid the city unless I'm going for a specific show, because anytime I've been there past 1 a.m., stuff gets really weird. That's yes, no, that's a common thing. We're gonna spin both those songs, No Thank You Toronto and Edmonton Eyes, and then when we come back, unfortunately, do have to wind down the show a little bit, but there is one more song I want to chat about before we do.
Oh yeah, I'm sitting on top of the world, but I feel my pride just mimic me. How did you get your gold card with such low rates and limit free? With every frequent flyer mile, I get a chance to fence my Gucci style. But why does this catalog have so much fine print? Nebula cloud seems to spit me out and leave me hanging. I run the rat race with the cheese in place, but the traps keep banging out. Jim Carrey makes me laugh and forget half my problems. But when the lights come back on, I frown and still can't solve them. I've read about your success. You're on the poster for Guess Jeans, where the highways cross, all the gloss is lost, and it just can't bless me. No, thank you, Toronto. I'll have no more retainer cars. I think your big city quest makes you look more like Santa Claus. Ignored by your neighbors below, and now you watch them from your tower through the falling snow. No, your maple leafs can't hide your western menopause. No, 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 no. Thank you, Toronto. Thank you, Toronto. No, 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 no. Thank you, Toronto.
cards were stacked against you from the moment you hit the ground. Wandered in from Wyatt Avenue to the most ruthless game in town. The dream of new adventure became radio hiss from another room. Your heart racked up the dust and rust like the Stanley Cups of 84 to 90, minus a few. When you look in these Edmonton eyes. Well, some call it dead and some call it Eddie, but I'm forced to call it my home. I came here for love, but it was too pure and uncut, and it spit me out and left me alone. And I was young, there was Gretzky and Curry, and skies of unending stars. Now I live in a trailer park outside town, with fights and nearly empty karaoke bars. When you look in these Edmonton eyes.
We are back. Thank you so much for tuning into Background Noise today. I hope you enjoyed the episode as much as I did. We're chatting with Graven, just this really awesome, like kind of folk rock musician out of Ottawa, Ontario. Sings a lot about nature, places, memories, vibes. I've really enjoyed listening to these tunes and chatting about them. Unfortunately, though, the episode is coming to an end, and there is one more song I want to chat about before we do. This one was kind of funny, and I love your imagery that you're able to create in the songs and like the stories that you tell. And this one just made me kind of laugh. And it was Inside Space Mountain from your 2008 album, From Mountain View to Canyon Heart. So why don't you tell me a bit about that tune?
Sure. And first and foremost, let me let you know I have Graven Geographics stickers. This was
It's a
just
good
sitting here.
sticker.
So yeah. And it's perfect for water bottles, desks. And they're only $5. So if people don't want to get the album, they can get a sticker from my Bandcamp. Yeah, Inside Space Mountain. So that whole album. So when we were talking earlier about the Pacific Northwest in Washington State, I had just gone out there to a friend's wedding in BC, and my ex and I drove up the coast and went up through Washington because we could get a cheap flight from I think Buffalo to Seattle for half the price, like a quarter of the price what it was from like Toronto to Vancouver. It's crazy. So we did that, and then we rented a car in Seattle, and then drove up through across the border and went to the wedding in BC. And then on that same trip, she went back early. She had to work, and I had a friend who was having a bachelor party, and I was going to fly down to Vegas, and I was like kind of close-ish where I was, um, to see him. And then it was like 3 days of myself and this guy named Matt, another friend named Mitch, and Matt was getting married. So it was like his bachelor party. And it was just so, it was the tamest bachelor party ever. Like we literally just hung out, the three of us, the whole time. We went for a hike in the desert. We went all around, and then we went to Disneyland in California on our last day because we flew out of LAX to come back home. And it was like, yeah, being in Space Mountain with those guys was just like one of those fun moments where I was probably at 30 something at the time, like 31 or 30-ish maybe. And yeah, right around 30 because it's 2006, I think. So it was like, yeah, just one of those moments where you're like, this is really weird, you're like, and having been to BC and all up the coast, and then being in California a few days later inside of Space Mountain with these two friends who are acting like total kids, right? Just like, woo, oh my God. And you're, yeah, just one of those moments where you're like, what is life anyway? But I love that you picked all those songs, the older ones too, by the way, because I've learned to be more easy on myself over time. If I'd done this with you like 5 or 10 years ago, I would have been like, oh, those songs are garbage. Why did you pick those? Because I was way more like hard on myself in my earlier recordings because all artists are like, but now, yeah, with time, I'm like definitely softer, and I see the like, you know, the heart behind it and stuff. And even if I didn't like the way it was recorded or whatever, I love that you picked those, and yeah, they're all part of my stories and memories and stuff. So thank you for doing that. It's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for taking us down memory lane with all these songs. It was so much fun to chat about them. Before we listen to Inside Space Mountain, I know you just dropped that new album that you got, Geographics. You got sticker. You do have it, I do believe, on vinyl and CD as well.
Yeah,
too, right?
people can pre-order it. Yeah.
Is there anything else we should be keeping an eye and an ear out on you from?
No, I'm going to, try to try to come out west like your way and further west in the summer, because yeah, my time in BC last summer was just amazing. And I was there for a week, and I played 3 shows, and I got to see some friends, and just love that part of Canada. So I definitely want to venture west again. Sometimes Ontario people just stay in Ontario. It's like a real curse, and there is a lot of great stuff in Ontario. There's great stuff in all of Canada. Let's just say it. It's a pretty cool country. So I try to tour exclusively here. I was doing some more stuff in the States, but I'm not really doing that right now, respectively, but respectfully. But yeah, yeah, just keep an eye. I guess Graven.ca, you can watch there for tour dates and stuff. And my album Geographics, go and get it and tell 10 friends about it, I guess.
Amazing. Yes, we will tell as many people as we can about that. That's why I love doing this show as well, because we're able to get the word out about new music, new albums, hopefully new artists to people as well, because Canada is a beautiful country and we have so many amazing musicians in this country as well that get overlooked all the time. But that's why I love to do the show. So thank you again so much for coming on the show, sharing your tunes, sharing your stories. It was amazing.
Thanks so much, Tora, for doing this. And I'm a lifelong fan of the podcast now. So thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. This is Inside Space Mountain from Graven off of his 2008 album, From Mountain View to Canyon Heart.
Ready, set, let's go, don't stop. So in love with every dip, loop, and drop. When the bright light takes my photo, I'll pretend to be a passed out wino. And I'm tripping out inside Space Mountain. 3 boys screaming in glee. And if I could live inside Space Mountain, that would be alright with me. Hold the handle, stare at the fake stars. Get a charge from my racing heart. This ride is a lot like the lives we live. Everything else becomes derivative. When the bright light takes my photo, I'll pretend to be a wide-eyed psycho. And I'm tripping out inside Space Mountain.